Hello and welcome to the Environment This Week series section of Drishti IAS. I'm Aisha, and in today's episode we will be covering the topics which are important from General Studies paper 3, that is environment and ecology. And the basic concept of this video is that we have taken news from the current affairs and then we will be delving deeper into the static portion of it. So let's begin. And first of all, let's see the top news of the week, and that is, first is the turtle species in India, second is the coastal mangroves, and third is the ethanol program. So let us talk about it. And before moving forward, Drishti IAS Mukherjee Nagar classes has now shifted to Noida, and the admissions in the offline classes are open for both Hindi medium as well as English medium for the IAS GS Foundation course covering both prelims and mains. So if in case of any query, give us a call at 87501 or you can also download the Drishti Learning app. So let us start with the first news, and that is the turtle species in India. And this turtle species, because of which there is so much of news around the environmentalists all over the world and also the conservationists, and that is with regard to the olive ridley turtles. So the marine turtles of Indian waters, if we talk about, then there are basically 5 species of turtles which are found in the Indian waters, and these are mainly olive ridley turtles, green turtles, loggerhead turtles, hawksbill turtle and leatherback turtle. So these are the species of turtle which are found in India, and the turtles are in news because of the olive ridley turtles and because of their nesting program which they are performing as of now, which is known as Eribada. So let us talk about the few turtle species. First of all, about the loggerhead sea turtle. So they are the species of oceanic turtle and they spend most of their life in salt water. So they basically spend their life in salt water and estuarine habitat, and the IUCN status of it is vulnerable. So they are vulnerable in nature. Now coming on to the leatherback turtle. So they are the largest of the 7 species of sea turtles. So leatherback turtle, they are the largest among all. Then they are able to maintain high body temperature using metabolically generated heat. So the temperature of the body is high and the IUCN status is critically endangered. Next comes is the green turtle. They are named after the greenish color of their cartilage. So the color, if we will see them, so they look little green in color. Then they are found in tropical and subtropical waters and the IUCN status is endangered. Then comes the olive ridley turtle, the most famous and the most abundant. Then they are the smallest and most abundant of all sea turtles, and they are carnivorous in nature. They practice unique mass nesting which is known as Eribada, and the IUCN status is vulnerable. So this was about the first news, and which is the turtle. So first and foremost, you need to remember about the olive ridley, smallest among all, most abundant in nature. The mass nesting program is known as Eribada, very famous for coming to the Chilika Lake also. And you need to remember that Odisha is very famous for their mass nesting program, and that is why the olive ridley turtle also remains in news. They are very small in size. Let me show you the image once again. So this is how they looks like. Next comes the coastal mangroves, and this is how the mangrove looks like. Now first of all, about the natural protection by coastal mangroves, that is, they work as bioshields and they can also be considered as a bioshield. So the coastal mangroves act as bioshields against natural disasters like the floods, cyclones and the tsunamis. So they work as bioshields because look at this image. So if in the coastal areas mangroves are present, and if any kind of natural disaster is coming, then these mangroves acts as a shield because they come in between, and I will not say that they completely vanishes the natural disaster, but the intensity of the natural disasters can be reduced because of the mangroves, because they work as a shield and they come between the coast and the natural disaster in the form of cyclones or floods. Then the presence of mangroves and other natural barriers in Indian coastal areas has reduced the devastation caused by tsunamis and coastal floods. Building sea walls is expensive in nature and it can interfere with natural processes, whereas mangroves naturally help in combating climate change also, and mangroves also increase the green cover of the area. Now coming on to what are mangroves, and the aspect which can be asked in the examination is this, that what are mangroves and what are the different features of mangroves. So mangroves, they are a diverse group of salt tolerant plant. They are salt tolerant plant, and that is also one of the unique property of mangroves. Then they are salt tolerant plant communities found in the tropical, subtropical, coastal, intertidal zone. So salt tolerant, that is the first feature that you need to remember. Now few of the characteristics include that they can survive under hostile environments, like for example low oxygen and high salt. Then their roots can absorb oxygen from atmosphere. So the roots of the mangroves, it can absorb oxygen from the atmosphere, and it is known as pneumatophores. Then there are thick succulent leaves to store fresh water. So the leaves of the mangrove, it can store the fresh water in it. Then mangrove cover, if we talk about, then all over the globe, the highest mangrove cover is in Asia, then Africa, then North and Central America, and then comes the South America. And if we talk about India, according to the ISFR 2021 report, the maximum quantity of mangroves is present in West Bengal, then Gujarat, Andaman and Nicobar Island, Andhra Pradesh and Maharashtra. And if we talk about the world's largest single patch of mangrove forest, then it is present in Sundarbans, West Bengal. Now coming to that, what is the significance of mangroves? So that is, it can stabilize the coastline and reduce soil erosion. Then protection against cyclones. Then it can improve the water quality by absorbing nutrients, and it is also an important carbon sink. So the carbon sink, it means that the mangroves helps in the absorption of the carbon, and that is one of the reasons that how it also helps in dealing with the climate change. Now what are the threats to mangroves? So that is commercialization of coastal areas and commercialization with regard to increasing infrastructure in the coastal areas, that is damaging the mangroves which is present at the coastal sites. Then emergence of shrimp farms, and then temperature fluctuations. Mangroves can't survive freezing temperatures. So the temperature for the mangroves survival needs to be normal, and below normal also it can survive, but freezing temperature, it becomes difficult for the mangroves to survive. Now conservation measures, few of the conservation measures with regard to mangroves. Let us first of all talk about at the global level. Then inclusion of mangroves in biosphere reserves and UNESCO global geoparks. Then mangroves for the future initiative, that is an initiative of the IUCN and UNDP, that is United Nations Development Program, and IUCN, that is IUCN. Then Mangrove Alliance for Climate by UNFCCC COP27, that is United Nations Framework Convention for Climate Change. COP is Conference of Parties. So during COP27, UNFCCC Mangrove Alliance for Climate for the safeguard of the mangroves was launched. Then IUCN and UNDP has launched the Mangroves for the Future initiative. Now coming to the conservation efforts at India level. So that is National Mangrove Committee in the year 1976. Then comes the Mangrove Initiative for Shoreline Habitats and Tangible Incomes, that is MISTI, and it was announced during the Union Budget of 2023-24. And then if we talk about to raise the awareness with regard to the importance of mangroves and also the conservation of mangroves, so the International Day for Conservation of the Mangrove Ecosystem, it was July 26. Now coming to the third topic for today, and that is the ethanol program and the environment. So basically the ethanol program. So let us talk about the ethanol blending petrol program and what are its objectives. So basically the project is, it was launched as a pilot project in India in the year 2001, and the aim of the project is to reduce energy consumption, oil import and carbon emissions from vehicles. So the carbon emissions from vehicle, oil imports and energy consumption, all of this must come down, and the import of oil on, because India as of now is dependent on the import of oil, and more than 90% of the oil India imports. So India imports from outside, and this is also one of the aspects on which India is completely dependent on its import, and this is also a, you can say, an aspect which causes a great damage to the forex reserves of India and also the fiscal deficit of India. Then in the year 2020, central government brought forward the target of 20% ethanol blending from 2030 to 2025. So ethanol blending target of 20% was earlier for the year 2030, but now the government has brought it down to the year 2025, which is a good sign, in order to take steps towards a greener future. Then under the ethanol blended petrol, ethanol is produced from grains such as broken rice and maize with the goal of doubling the farmer's income. And the government's goal of doubling the farmer's income, one of the major contributors or one of the aspects in this is the ethanol production. Then 2024, ethanol blending in India has reached around 15%, and the target is for the 20%. So India is performing well with regards to the blending of ethanol. Now environmental impact of ethanol factories and local opposition. So why opposition is there also? Then protest against ethanol factories in villages like Gumaldodi, Gandepalli and others in Andhra Pradesh. There were complaints about water, air and soil pollution. So the complaints which, or the issues which as of now is being raised is that with regard to the blending of ethanol which is taking place, but that is causing pollution in the surrounding areas. So the ecosystem is getting harmed because of the program. Then the harmful chemicals released from ethanol production plants such as acetaldehyde, formaldehyde and acrolein were not mentioned in the environmental permits. Now the harmful chemicals is becoming a point of concern for the environmentalists and the conservationists, and also for the people or the local residents who are staying in the area where the program is taking place. And this hazardous chemical release is what is causing a problem, and this was not present under the environmental permits. Now the scientists are saying that an ethanol factory requires around 8 to 12 liters of water to produce 1 liter of ethanol. So this is also raising the point of water scarcity issue, and especially during the period of summers. So during the period of summers when the heat waves are going on, and as of now because of the global warming and the climate change, and the temperature is also rising. So during the peak summer seasons, like for example April, you can say June season, so that is where the main problem will rise, because if so much of water will be used for the blending of ethanol, then the water scarcity problem can arise. However, due to the increased cost of pollution control measures in ethanol factories, it is not feasible for many industries. Now, criticism of the ethanol program and the need for reforms. So, first and foremost is the environmentalists and scientists. So, first is harmful chemical released from ethanol factories causes more damage to the environment, nullifying the benefits of the program. Second is, according to the reports, blending 20% biofuel in petrol has led to a 30% reduction in carbon monoxide emissions, but it is not helping in fully improving the environment. So completely things cannot change. Slowly and gradually only the improvement will take place. The government should take corrective steps considering the suggestions of environmentalists without ignoring their concerns, so that the program does not come at the cost of agriculture, health and people's water rights. So the program that is being run by the government, that the things that needs to be kept in mind is that the people's water rights or the issue of the water scarcity needs to be dealt properly. Then the health, because of the harmful chemicals, if the health of the people residing there or the local resident health is being suffered, then that is a problem of concern and proper steps needs to be taken to deal with this problem. And also, if the chemical or the hazardous chemicals which are being released, it also needs to be seen that if it is causing any kind of harmful impact on the agriculture and also on the crops which is present there. So these were the 3 topics of it, and now in the end all 3 topics will consist of 3 practice questions, and like always you people will give me the answer in the comment section. And how are you going to do it? It is like type question number 1, 2 and 3 and the answers in front of it, and then in the comment section you can do it. So the first practice question is, which of the following species of turtles are found in Indian waters? Olive ridley, loggerhead, hawksbill or all of the above? We have done this. Second is, in which state does India have the largest area of mangrove forest? That is Gujarat, West Bengal, Andhra Pradesh or Maharashtra. Third and the last one, which harmful chemicals are released from ethanol factories? Oxygen and carbon, sulfur and nitrogen, acetaldehyde, formaldehyde and acrolein, or carbon monoxide and nitrous oxide? So give me the answer in the comment section, and that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Till we meet next time, keep reading, keep writing and keep subscribing to the channel. Thank you.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.